Let's look at question 1. What is the parent function for the graph below? So go back, let's look at our 3 different parent functions. There's linear, which makes a straight line. There's quadratic, which makes the U. And there's exponential, which just kind of starts small and then boom, it shoots way up really quickly. So which one of these 3 looks like this graph here? Well, if you match it up, it looks like it's quadratic. So this answer is B, quadratic. Question 2, what is the parent function for the information below? If they give you a table, I encourage you guys to see if you can plot those points. So we're going to plot these points here, and let's see if we can do this here. 1 and then go up 2. So if I go over 1 and up 2, there's my first set of points right there. If I go over 2 and then up 4, that's going to be my second, and then over 3 and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if you notice that, look at the data, it's starting to go up really rapidly right here. It starts at 2 and then goes to 4 and then 8, and now when I go to 4 I'm going to be way up here at 16, and then when I go to 5 I'm going to be way off the page up here at 32. So the data looks like it's starting down here and it goes shoo, and it shoots way up rapidly. That's not linear, and I definitely know it's not quadratic. If it were quadratic, I'd have some other numbers over here. It would look like these numbers would either come back down and go back up, but they're not doing that. They're just going straight up rapidly. So which one of those looks like that? If you remember, it's exponential. So this is an exponential parent function. This is not linear. Linear means it's going up the same amount every time. Plus 2, well, did it go up plus 2 right here? Nope, so that's not linear. And quadratic means that the numbers would come back down and then they would go back up, but they're not doing that. They're just going straight up at a rapid rate. Question 3, what is the parent function for the graph below? I think we've already answered that one here. If you go back, it looks like a straight line, so it's linear. A. Question 4, what is the parent function for the information below? John gets paid $30 for each lawn he mows, or that he cuts. So for 1 lawn, he gets 30. For 2, he gets 60. For 3, he would get 90. And so if you look, every time that he mows a yard, you are adding $30 every time. It's going up $30 each time at a constant rate. So it's going up a constant rate that makes it linear. If it were exponential, he would mow 1 yard and then mow 2 and then mow 3, and the next thing you know, he would be in the hundreds really rapidly and then almost into the thousands. But that's not the case, so it's linear. Question 5, what is true about the mapping below? If you don't like the way this looks, make coordinates. Remember, the arrows just tell you how to put these coordinates together. So this arrow right here, 1, goes with 5. So 1, 5. And then we're going to do this one here. 1 also goes with 7. So 1, 7. And then we have, I'll use a different color here, 2 goes with 5. We'll have 2, 5. And then our last one, 3 goes with 9, 3, 9. So if you like coordinates, make the coordinates. So let's look at our answer choices. Look at A. It is a function because it passes the vertical line test. Well, to see if it passes the vertical line test, I would have to plot these points. Look what happens if I plot these 2 guys right here. If I go over 1 and up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to put a dot. Now I'm going to plot this guy right here. Go over 1 but up 7. Those dots are right on top of each other. So if I do the vertical line test, you will notice that I hit 2 dots. That is not a function. So look at letter B. It is not a function because the x values repeat. Remember my dating advice? You only want to use that x 1 time or your life will not function. So guess what? This is not a function. So the answer is B. Question 6. What is true about the graph below? Let's look at A. It is a function because it passes the horizontal line test. We do not do a horizontal line test in Algebra 1. Horizontal line test means you're drawing lines like this. We don't do that. It is not a function because it is not a straight line. Well, we have to test whether or not a function is a function, but we do that by doing the vertical line test. So let's see here. It is a function because it passes the vertical line test. So here's your vertical line test. I hit the graph once. 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 Every time I draw a vertical line, I am hitting the graph once. That means it is a function. It passes the vertical line test. So our answer is B. Here we go, question 7. What is true about the table below? Let's look at letter A. It is not a function because the y value, I guess it's supposed to say is increasing by 2. Well, the y value is not increasing by 2. That doesn't mean whether or not it's a function because we don't look at the y's, remember? Let's look at letter B. It is a function because it passes the vertical line test. I would have to plot all these points over here just like we did on the previous one and do the vertical line test, but we're not going to do that because there's something else that we can do to see if it's a function. So we're going to put a little question mark here. Look at letter C. It is not a function because an x value is repeated. Do I have an x value repeated? 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. Look at that. I have 2 3s, so guess what? It is not a function because the 3's repeated. Let's look at question 9. What is the slope of the line below? So if I were to draw a person skiing, kind of like Slope Dude, if you remember Slope Dude, we're going to give him a mullet because we're in Texas. This person is skiing downhill. So since you're skiing downhill, you're going to, and I know it sounds weird, you're going to rise down. We know our little saying is rise over run, so we're not going to rise up first. We're actually going to rise down, and we always ski or run to the right. And so let's see how we do that from this point here in green to this point here in red. So if I'm at this green point, I'm going to go down 1. Well, since you're going down, we know our answer is going to be a negative number. So it's a negative slope. Remember, nice, negative, dude, right? So I know it's not A, I know it's not D. And then our bottom number is how many we have to run to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I continue that pattern, it will constantly hit each point right here on the line. So I go down 1 and over 4, boom, hit another point. Down 1 over 4, boom, hit another point. So our answer is C. Dude. Let's look at question 10. Looking at the locations A, B, and C, which of the following answer choices is true? The vertex, so it looks like they're talking about the vertex. The vertex of a quadratic, of this particular quadratic, is located right here. It's actually a minimum because it's the lowest point on the graph. And so the vertex is located at location C. Let's look at 11. Question 11 is asking you, where is the y-intercept located? Well, the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. So here's your y-axis that I'll highlight in yellow. And so where does that parabola cross the y-axis? It crosses right here at location B. So this is your y-intercept. And then question 12 is asking, where is the x-intercept? That's where the graph crosses the x-axis. So here's your x-axis. So this right here, this point right here is where the graph crosses the x-axis. That's your x-intercept. So those are your 3 answers, or the 3 parts of that graph there. What is the parent function for the table of data below? So if you look over here, I've drawn an x, y coordinate grid. We're going to plot these points and put them on here and just do a visual inspection of what it's doing. So let's start here. 1, 6. So I'm going to go over 1 on the x and up 6 and put a dot. This time we're going to go over 2 and up 4, and we're going to put a dot. This time we're going to go 3 on the x, 1, 2, 3, and up 2, put a dot. We're going to go over 4 and up 2, over 4 and up 2, put a dot. This time we're going to go over 5 and up 4, and you'll notice, look what happened to the data. I'm going to erase this in this table so you can kind of see what's going on, but look at the values in the y. Look right here. So if you look, notice that it starts at 6 and then it goes down to 4 and it goes down to 2. It kind of stays at 2, but then it starts coming back up. So when I connect these dots, it's going down and then it looks like it comes back up. And if I continued, what shape does that look like? Well, that to me looks like a quadratic. Question's asking, what is the parent function? Well, the parent would be the quadratic, so your answer is B. 14, what is true about the graph below? Let's look at our answer choices. Let's look at A. The graph does not have an x-intercept. Let's see if that's true. Well, to me, it looks like it has an x-intercept. It has an x-intercept right here where it crosses the x-axis. So this is saying that it does not. Well, goodbye. We're looking for what is true. Let's see here. The graph's parent is a quadratic. Well, if I were to trace this guy, it starts off and then boom, it starts to rapidly go up. And what do we call that type of graph? That is an exponential graph. That is not a quadratic graph. So let's look at C. There is not an asymptote. And remember, our kid-friendly version of an asymptote was that line that's right underneath the graph that's so close that it's almost like it's touching it, but it never will. Well, it does have an asymptote. They're saying that it doesn't. So all answers above are false. That's true. All of those answers above are not true statements. So that is my true statement. And number 15, what is another name for slope? Another name for slope is a constant rate of change. If you picked run over rise, no, remember it's rise up or down first, and then you always run to the right. So it is not run over rise. It's not an inconsistent rate of change. That would not make it a straight line. That would definitely make it not linear. Rise times run, our answer's A.